Hello everybody, it's time to start thinking about spring planting. Welcome to Everyman Prepping. I'm Seth, and we're going to talk today about what to do to get ready for growing your own food, because we go through a lot of news stories about incoming wars, grid down, SHTF, all that. And one of the more important factors of all that is try to be self-reliant. Grow some of your own food, have some self-reliance, have something to stop your need for going into the system. So anything you can do will help. Plus, planting now in the spring, making sure you have everything ready is going to have a great summer, a great harvest. Then in the fall, we'll talk about how to preserve all that food. So during the winter, like now, you can have stuff to eat that's fresh, canned well, nutritious, all that great stuff. So like I said, I have a table full of stuff I want to go through, some ideas I have. In the comments, write what you're doing to prepare for spring planting, what you're doing to get ahead. And while you're doing that, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so, share the video, all that great stuff. So why is planting important? Why you want to do this? Well, I know, a lot of the preppers out there have those emergency seed packets, break in case of emergency when the grid goes down or there's a war or disaster. You got to grow your own food, and they're going to do it then. Well, you need to do it now. You can't just decide I'm going to grow something that happens. First of all, it's not always going to be spring when the event happens and you can just start planting. It could happen in the winter. It could happen in the summer. Plus, gardening's hard. It's hard work. It's labor intensive, but it's a labor of love. You get exercise, you're out in Mother Nature, you're touching the dirt, you're grounding yourself, all that great stuff, rewarding, family involved, all that's involved with, gardening, but it is hard and you just can't do it. I've been doing it 20, 30 years. I make mistakes all the time, almost every year. I'm always learning and improving. And if you think that you can just pick up your emergency seed packet and start throwing the seeds into the ground or into pots and growing them that first year without any practice, you're going to be in for failure, basically. Not much is probably going to grow, not getting much food, and you're going to be hurting. So why do that to yourself, your family? Do it now, practice, even if it's 1 or 2 plants. And maybe it's a whole garden, maybe it's an acre, whatever. You need to practice, you need to get those skills now. So let's talk about some of the stuff I do to get ready, and maybe some stuff that you'll pick up what you want to do. So the first thing I start with always is something like this, a plan. What am I going to do? This is the year, this is what, 2019. I just picked up one of my old ones. But I draw out one of my garden plots. If you have 2 or 3, draw one per garden area. That's what I do. But you got the size, and then you got to say, and what's in each row? How many plants are in that row? How far apart are they? Are they spread right? Did I do my proper crop rotation from last year, or every couple years? Make sure you do that. Crop rotation is very important. Can't keep planting the same thing, the same row year after year. You're going to deplete that soil. You're not going to have good results. One of the mistakes that people do and learn, and you need to learn that now before the time hits. Anyway, on your plan, now you know how many plants you have, so you know how much to plant, how much supplies you need. You're going to know, well, hey, I need 2 yards of compost, for this area. I need 10 pounds of 666 and so much nitrogen, whatever you're using to fertilize. You write that on here. I have notes on here about my drip water system, about how long it needs to be run for, what part of the year. So all that notes are on here. So year to year, I don't forget. I make adjustments. I make notes. So have a plan so you know what you're doing, what's going on, and you can remember from year to year what you did so you can gather supplies now for the upcoming spring. As you'll see over here in the corner, you can probably see I have some drip underneath. Well, I can't remember, probably it's way off screen over there, but that's my drip water. What am I doing is I had a drip system with the holes every 8 inches. I've learned that that's not quite enough, water when it's super hot in July, August. So I got some new ones where the drip irrigation drip holes, whatever you want to call it, in the drip system is every 6 inches. I think it'll be better, so I'm laying that out. One of the things I learned by doing gardening every year. All right, so we have a plan. And then, what do we do now? Well, we need to gather our supplies. And let me just put this to the side so we can go through seed germination. I know a lot of you are probably out there, well, I just go to the big box store or my local nursery and buy plants. And that's great. You can definitely do that and get your seeds in. Hopefully they have what you want. Hopefully they don't run out. They don't have disaster. It's not too expensive. But by germinating your own seeds, it's relatively inexpensive. Seeds are pretty cheap right now. Get them while you can. Store them. They store many years. You see these jars here? I've been starting to learn how to save my own seeds. These are zucchini from 2022, okra from 2023, cilantro. I got all kinds, tomato seeds. And why do I save my own? Not only to save money, but after years, these are now grown to my microclimate where I live. These plants, I take the biggest, the best fruits, the best vegetables, I save those seeds, and I know exactly that they'll grow well. I keep them, so they're, basically evolved to my area. I think it helps. You'll read a lot of master gardeners that say the same thing, but that's why I carry my own seeds. Now, you might want to buy your own, which is fine. Make sure you want to get heirloom seeds. Now, these great canisters, we all know what they're for. Not only are they good for lead and brass, but they're great for storing seeds. And so I can't save all the seeds because sometimes they fail, they don't save well, or I just haven't found a good method to do it. So, I buy seeds. Here we go. We got some broccoli going on here. We have some corn. These are all heirloom. And why do you want heirloom? You want heirloom so you can save those seeds if you need to, and they can be replanted. They're not genetically modified. They're not going to give you some weird hybrid. So you want to buy heirloom seeds as much as possible. Here's some eggplant. There you go. Look at that. And you can see they're all from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds or rareseeds.com. They don't support this, but they have a great variety of heirloom seeds, free shipping, all that great stuff. So after you do your plan, get seeds. Mark what you want, grab the seeds, find a way to store them. So you got that taken care of. So you got the seeds on order. They're going to come in time. You're going to plan based on your area. How many weeks out do I need? I grow them out here in the barn. It's cool. It's not in the house. If you have a basement, it's a great spot because it stays a little warmer. Indoors, if you have a greenhouse, I don't have one. That's a goal of mine eventually one year to get a greenhouse. We don't have one yet. I'll get in a little bit about a contingency plan I have. But right now, it's out in this little barn shed-like building, but it gets cold here. So I want to germinate out here. We need light, we need warmth, and I'll do the watering myself. But so what do we do for warmth? Well, that's where this comes in. This is that house panel, the about 1/2 inch thick reflective insulation you can buy at the Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever you got around there. And what I do with that is I put a layer on the table. You don't need a table, so I put a layer of that on the bottom, insulate it. Then I use seed mats, and you can see this here. This is a seed mat. It's a big one. You can get them all different sizes. If you're just doing small, you get little seed mats. You can get medium-sized seed mats, as you can see here. Why you want a warming mat or a seed mat is they keep the temperature of the soil warm enough to generate the seeds because it's cold out here. You're gonna need something to put the soil and the seeds in once you get the mat. So I save these from flowers you buy, other plants you buy at nurseries because they're not all. I have to apologize for my chickens. They're going crazy now. I think my hens are fighting over probably what nesting box they want to lay an egg in. So you get to hear that. But save all these old ones. Why buy new ones? I don't like the pea pots. I don't think those ever work. You might have different results. I like using these, just reuse them all. Here's what you can see I'm labeled. Black eggplants on that one. Serrano peppers on this one. Just save money, use whatever you can. You got the trays. So you got your insulation, you put it underneath, put a seed mat on top, lay these, get your potting soil, all that great stuff. Lay it out. Let me show you what else I do. Put this over here really quick. So if I got a couple seed containers, let's put these out here. I plant my seeds, in here. I got them in a tray, easy to carry around, easy to water. I then put plastic wrap over it to germinate, just while it's germinating. Plastic wrap on top. I grab an old towel. I put that on top like a blanket. The seeds are nice and cozy. It might be 35, 40 degrees outside, maybe 42 in here, but under here, 75, 80 degrees. Those seeds germinate, at the time it says on the, on the instructions, 2-3 days, a week, depends on what type of plant it is. So you got to check every day because if you don't, they're going to sprout and get leggy. So you check, you take it off, you look under your plastic, germinate, you take it all off, and then they're ready for light and everything. And we're going to get into light in a minute. So that's how I do that part of the seed germination. For light, I use LED, full spectrum plant lights. This one's from King LED. See on this side, it has a veg and a bloom. If you want to run different cycles, I run full spectrum from the beginning and just find it easier. I turn them both on. This is a 1500 watt equivalent. It uses about 280 watts, but you can see all the LEDs there. I have chains above us up here, so they hang above. That way you can adjust the right height. And I got two, one on each side of this table, covers it very well, provides plenty of light once the seeds are germinated. You want about 16 hours of light when they first generated. Maybe you can go 12 to 14 once the plants are a few inches high, but 16 hours or so is what you're gonna need. Also what I use this for, so this big panel here, not only does one go underneath, but I kind of make a teepee. I'll put up a picture here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But I make a little tent where I angle them together. with the lights. What that does, it traps the heat and reflects more of the light. So this 300 watt LED, two of them, produce a lot of heat. The seed mat produces heat. Well, by making the little tent, it collects the heat, reflects the light. It stays about 75, 80 in there, even though when it's cool outside, it's a great environment to grow on. I found out that works great. So this is the system I use. You can come up with your own, but it seems to be working really great for me. Now we get to the point where some of you are saying, hey, grid down. You're not going to have power to run all this stuff. You're not going to have electricity. Something happens. And you're right. So you need to have backup. So yes, you can run this on a generator. It'd be loud. You can also run it off solar. The seed mats don't take much. 100 or 200 watts. You don't have to run them all day. Maybe you just run it in the morning and a few hours at night to keep it warm. Because it only uses a few hundred watts. You can run that off solar pretty easily. Maybe you can only run one light at a time. And so that's all you have to do. And you run it for maybe 6 hours a day if you have enough solar. If you have a generator, you can run it longer, but then you get into noise discipline and noise issues and all that. But, you can do that as well. And as a contingency, like I talked about, you have to have, I said don't have a greenhouse right now, but you can't tell back here. I have all the lumber. Outside I have the chicken wire cages, the cattle fencing, the wood, and I can build an impromptu greenhouse. I got the plastic wrap already ready to go. So we do go that route. There's no power. I'm out there. I whip out. I have the plants and everything to build me 2 8-foot by 8-foot greenhouses, with the wire cages, plastic on top. We'll have plenty of light. I'll have to find a heating source for it, whether it be my propane heater, whether it be some other way to heat it, but I have, plans for that. So I have backups for that because we all know 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So yes, this takes a lot of power, but have power backup, have a way to make a greenhouse, do something, it'll grow. Now, so we have, heat, water, light, we're growing stuff. We have a plan. Everything looks good. If you want to grow potatoes, I highly recommend these. These are like little canvas sacks. And for a lot of these things, I'll put a link in the description, so in case you want to pick up any of this stuff that you might be able to find online. But this is a 10-gallon bag. Fill it up, put your potatoes in and plant them. I did it last year, about 6 of these. Worked outstanding. Got plenty of potatoes. Those of you in balconies, small backyards, they work great. You can also put tomato plants in there, pepper plants. Any kind of small plant will grow in there. Haven't tried zucchini, and not sure if that'll grow in there or not, but give it a try if you have small space. You got to start doing something. Other things you do, make sure you have fertilizer. So, whether you use this, any fertilizer, I use that to supplement because I have chickens. I recommend chickens. Chicken poop, after 4 or 6 months, sitting in your coop or in your compost bin, wherever you store your chicken waste. Great fertilizer. Put it out in the garden. Do all that stuff. I don't use pesticides or herbicides, but this Sluggo Plus stuff here works great for slugs and snails and those little pinchy bugs, pill bugs, all that stuff. It's got the spinosad in it, which is a bacteria that kills those plants. It's organic. Got the certified up there, so you can spread this around. I find out it works great. I get this at Costco. Maybe you'll find it there, Sam's Club. I don't know, but works great for keeping them out because when you plant these little guys out there, in the garden, you don't want them to get eaten. And if you're direct sowing, if you're direct sowing the corn or your okra, some of the other things you're going to direct sow in the ground when it's warm enough, well, then you're going to need this to protect them if it's moist out and you get a lot of those slugs. So that's what I do to take care of that. And then once, like I said, when it's warm enough, you're going to transport this all into the garden and get it growing out there. That's one thing I was doing today. It started raining today, so I was going to take you out there to show you what I have to do, what the next planting is out there. But I'll just talk to you right now. So I got those rows you saw on the sheet I had. I planned out rows. Well, this is the time of year you plan out, like I said, how much compost. Do you have to rototill it? Have you already turned it over? Do you have to weed it? What do you need to do? And all that stuff. So that's the next thing you plan. Once that you can work the soil and it's dry enough, and then you can go rototill your fertilizer in there, your compost, your chicken compost, get it all ready, set up your whatever system you have for watering out there. That way, that's all ready to go. Your seedlings have been growing. You can start planting and start getting off to a great start. So that's what I have for suggestions on getting ready for your spring planting out there. Let's, if we review really quickly, we got make a plan. What are you going to plant and how many? Acquire your seeds. If you've saved them, great. If you need to order them, including potatoes, onion sets, all that stuff. Make sure you gather all that. Then set up a indoor, whether, like I said, in a basement, a room, outside building, set up a place to sprout or to germinate and grow them until it's ready to go outside. And the reason you want to start so early instead of just waiting until it's warm outside and do it is you want to get a jump start. When it gets warm, you want those plants in the ground so they can start producing as fast as you can to get the most harvest out of the summer, so we can grow as much food as we can and then eat it as it's going, and then also preserving it. So you got that. You got the number of plants, you started, you built this, you have your insulation, your seed mat, something to contain the heat, your lighting source, your power, your backup, all that. Then you got what, 6 to 8 weeks from now, depending where you live, maybe longer, maybe up to 12 if you're up north. Put them in the ground, ready to go, and we'll talk about more of that later. That's all I have for you. Like I said, put your comments below what you're doing to get ready for seeds. Are you ready? Do you have all your supplies, everything ready to go? I know it can be busy out there. We got, if you have kids and family and work, and you got to find time to actually plant the seeds, and you're watering them every day, you're checking them. Like I said, a lot of work, well worth it, because you're going to make your own food. You're going to be a little more independent, and you're saving money, and it's very nutritious for you and your family. So till next time, keep your ear to the ground, head on a swivel.